All right.
Okay.
Well, as we just continue to work our way through the assignments and practicing, going through examples, the next few sessions, we're going to slow down a little bit so we can focus just on a couple of assignments in particular. These are the new and probably the more time-consuming assignments for Module 5. So I did want to spend a little more time on them and do some of them with you so you can see um, how to approach them. And then also too, I think it'll help as you do the rest of them if we do some of it together. The two assignments I'm speaking about are both related to the diagramming. And again, this time for 2 Timothy, your passage, you're not just going to diagram your passage, but actually we're diagramming the whole book. And so the other assignments are all the same. So the first three that we've gone over together are, to read and observe the book, 2 Timothy, and then to do the background context of 2 Timothy. And several of you have done those two assignments already, which is great. And then the next one is the contextual flow, which we went over together a few weeks ago. And then in our last session together, we started looking at the this diagramming portion again. I know this is the most difficult, but also will be the longest assignment that we're going to do. And so I've broken it up into 2 parts. We have assignment 5.11, which focuses attention on just the connector words. So I'm having you look through the whole book and try to find the connector words. And last week we did some more review of that just to get familiar with that again. And then this week we're going to actually dive into 2 Timothy, starting in verse 1, and just go through together find the connector words together. So I just wanted to do that for several verses this morning. And then we'll go to next week, most likely, we'll start just diagramming through part of 2 Timothy. So I'll just do that with you so that, one, I'll be helping you complete the assignment, and then 2, show you what it is that I'm how we're to do that. And then the assignments after that will be specific to your passage and will be all the things you've done before: the textual observations, the word studies, consulting resources, the exegetical idea, the timeless truths. All of those are going to be the same thing that you've done before. Okay? And so with that, let me pull up our notes here. So again, today, this session, our focus will be on assignment 5.11, which is the connector words for 2 Timothy. And we'll just start working our way through that book together, as I mentioned a moment ago. Now, of course, you remember, as I said, this is to help us focus our attention on the 4th step of the process, which is really the first step where we focus attention on the passage itself. The first 3, again, are to expose us to the book as a whole, to get us familiar with the book as a whole, to understand its setting, its background, the author's flow of thought, so that we can identify the occasion for the book. That is, what prompted the author to write it. And then the purpose of the book. That is, what is the main message of the book, the main theme, the focus. All right. Once we've got that, that's the foundation for us to then begin to proceed examining specific passages within the book. And so as we talked about in the module, and as you can find on the syllabus, you each have been assigned a passage from 2 Timothy. And so that will be the focus of your text. And the first step you're going to want to do is to block diagram that passage. Now, again, in order to practice, get more familiar and better at diagramming, we're going to block diagram the whole letter, all 4 chapters. And then following that step, as I said, all of the next steps are going to be exactly the same as you've done before. All right. Now, picking up where we left off in the last session together, the procedure for diagramming is to, again, identify the first independent clause of the sentence. There may be more, but at least we want to find out the first one. And then after that, identify the rest of the phrases and clauses by finding the connector words. And then once you've done that, indicate what each phrase or clause modifies, what word it modifies, and how. And then lastly is to actually do the diagram. But we're going to focus our attention on this second step for this session, and particularly focusing on how to find the connector words. So last week, if you go back to the session that we did, we went over these just by way of review. Remember, we have the conjunctions, the prepositions, the relative pronouns, and then we spent some time last week on the participles because those guys are the most tricky. They're the most challenging in English because they are verbs which end in ing or ed. And the problem is, but they don't act like verbs. Participles are, if you'll remember, we referred to them as verbals, meaning they look like a verb. They have a verb in the word, but they don't act just like a verb. So they're very naughty, all right? They're very misbehaving words because they don't act like what they look like, all right? So that's why we spent last week looking over, okay, well, how do we tell the difference? How do I know if this is a participle or if it's something else? And again, something else, it could be the verb plus ing or ed ending could be a regular verb. How do we know that? Well, we have to look at how it works in the sentence, look to see if there's a verb of being in front of it, is, are, be, was, am, and then also look to see if there's an obvious subject. So for example, if it is, I am preaching the word, that preaching there is not a participle, it's a regular verb. I am preaching. Notice there's a subject I, a verb of being am right in front of or before the verb preaching. So in that case, we have a few clues that tell us it's not a regular verb, or that it is a regular verb, I'm sorry, that it's not a participle. And then we also discussed, sometimes a verb with an ing ending can act like a noun. And we call those gerunds. And one way to tell is there an article in front of it? Now, not all gerunds have an article in front of it. So then you got to look and see, okay, is this word acting like an object or a subject in the sentence? Okay, so unfortunately, these participles, like I said, are, very naughty, all right? They don't, sometimes they look like a verb, but they don't act like a verb, and then they can be very tricky. And so that, unfortunately, that's the way it is. If we were studying Greek, we wouldn't have this problem. In Greek, a participle is very obvious by how the word ends. There's particular word endings that identify it as a participle. And then we would say, hallelujah, I love Greek. I don't have to worry about it. But we're not studying Greek, unfortunately. Maybe down the road, we can do that together. We're focusing our attention on English, which means we have to deal with the trickiness of how these participles, what they look like. Now, the function of the English participle is very similar to the Greek participle. So the grammar part of it, we're still very close to the original language in terms of how participles work. It's just the trick in English is identifying them accurately. And so you have your notes from the module 5, where I did discuss this. You can go there, use that as a reference. I've posted that syllabus on Canvas. So if you go to Canvas, to that big font, links to the course documents, you can find there. In fact, that I can again show you just by way of a reminder. I can show you guys where to see this on Canvas here. Let me go to TMAI. Your favorite Your favorite website on the whole internet, I know, is Canvas. You love to go there, just even if you don't have an assignment. I know you love to go there just to look at it. All right, Joklan. All right, here we go. So this is Canvas Module 5, Preaching, and then of course, notice link to download all course files. I put that right in the middle in big font for you, so everything's there. So if you don't know where to go for sure, just hit that. And then you'll see here the Mod 5 schedule. The Module 5 schedule is here with the assigned passages. All right, so it's got the schedule, the plan, and then here are the assigned passages in case you guys forget. All right, we've already seen this. This is in your syllabus. I'm just showing you here. You can find it on the on Canvas here. Okay, so that's that particular document. And then notice here, we've got all the Zoom sessions, again, just like I've done in the past. And in each Zoom session, we'll have the class notes. That is the notes that I'm giving to you for that particular session, the assignment, if there is one that we focused on in that session, and then of course the video here. Now, at the top of this table, notice I've got the syllabus. So I've got the syllabus that you guys had in class, and then I put my syllabus there that has my extra notes. Okay, so you can download it here and use it, and it's got a lot of the stuff we did for diagramming. It's got the Haggai discussion. Habakkuk discussion there, and then as well as some of the prophetic passages that we looked at when we were together in Module 5. But it has also the grammatical section features if you want to use it as a resource. Okay, so again, you can go here in the notes on pages, actually the first section, pages 1 to 47 are the various things we covered. So notice here, participles, there's a section on it starting on page 40. Okay, so all that is here on the Module 5. Again, go to this particular link right here. Okay, and then as always, and I know some of you have done this, if you can't remember, you have a question or where to find something, feel free to send me a message. I'd be happy to help. All right, but that is the where you can find a lot of the information on Canvas. Okay, and then of course the assignments. You can either go directly to the assignments section here on the left, which will take you to all the assignments, or you can go to that same link I showed you just a moment ago, this big link to download all course files, and you can dig your way through there just to get the assignment. Now, if you do the assignment, right? So for example, if we're going to look at assignment 5.8, which is the read and observe 2 Timothy, we looked at this a few sessions ago. You can download it here, all right, as I did. But when you're done when you do the assignment, to upload it, you have to go to over here on the upper left corner, the assignment section. I think you're all familiar with this, but I know sometimes it helps just to review it briefly. And you'll pick that assignment, read and observe 2 Timothy, and then start the assignment, and you can upload the file. Okay, so that's just a quick review there. Now, back to what we were talking about. So going back to the connector words, as I said, we've got the 4 main types: conjunctions, prepositions, relative pronouns, the participles, and then the key, the most commonly used of each one, the commonly used coordinating conjunctions, which again join words, phrases, or clauses that are grammatically equal. Then we have the subordinating conjunctions, which join ideas that are grammatically unequal. That is, it links a dependent clause to a word in the sentence. And then here are the most common of those. prepositions which link a noun to another word in the sentence, and a with boot. These are the 9 most common prepositions. And then we have the relative pronouns, which introduce a dependent clause with using the word who, which, or that. And then finally, the participles. Okay? So these are the 4. Nothing's changed there. We've gone over these. Now, for the connector words exercise, this is how I would like us to do it. All right? We're going to... Actually, I'm going to put this... All right, let me just modifying this a little bit to make it a little easier to follow here. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're going to identify, this is the point of the assignment, each connector word, circling it, or my preference is to highlight it. What I mean by that is this. I would like you to note, you need to identify not just that if it's a connector word, but what kind of connector word. Okay? So if it's a conjunction, I want you to highlight it. If you can, highlight it in blue, and at least then put CO over the top of it. If it's a preposition, if you can highlight it, if you have the word software, you can highlight it in yellow, but put PR over it. If it's a relative pronoun, I have the gray color, and then RP. It's a participle, the purple color, PA. Now, if you aren't able to do this highlighting, you can simply just circle or underline it and put over above it, whether it's CO for conjunction, PR for preposition, RP for relative pronoun, or participle. All right? Now, the thing I also want you to identify, just to practice this, it's not necessarily a connector word, but if you find an infinitive, and remember an infinitive is 2 plus a verb, sorry. I do want you to highlight that, note it as an infinitive, and then highlight it in green. All right? Just to, so you're looking for these to make sure you don't confuse it with a connector word, with the preposition. All right? So here's what it's going to look like. So I just started with verse 1. I'll do verse 1 for you, and then I'll give you time to work on this yourselves, and then we'll go over it together, all right? But here in verse 1, we have Paul, an apostle of Jesus Christ by the will of God, according to the promise of life in Christ Jesus. So here, I'm going to look for my connector words, and I've got it on the right here. Okay. So I notice of, that's a preposition. Again, with boot, you remember that? At, within, for, from, by, on, of, to. And then, so I highlighted it in yellow, and I put PR for preposition over it, on the top of it. By is another preposition. Did the same thing. Since it's a preposition, notice over here, I said put it in yellow, highlight it in yellow, and put PR over it. The will of, another preposition. So I put PR of God, according to. That also is a preposition. It's one of the ones, it's not in with boot. It's not one of the most common ones, but it is fairly common in the New Testament. All right. So keep your mind on that. According to, together, both words are a preposition. We talked about this last session. So you see the word to there. That's normally a preposition, but in this case, according to is one of those special prepositions that's more, it's more than one word. It's actually 2 words here. And so I put PR over the top of it. and then another preposition of. So I'm going to put PR over that to indicate another preposition. And then finally, in Christ Jesus, another preposition. So I'll highlight it in yellow and put PR. So notice here in this particular verse 1, there are 6 connector words. All of them are prepositions in this case. All right. And 5 of the 6 are, by the way, the most common ones from a whiff boot. All right. So this is the procedure that I want you guys to do. Okay. So like I said, in this case, verse 1, it just turned out they were all prepositions. That's why they're all highlighted in yellow. But as I said, if you're not able to, if you don't have the Microsoft software to do this, you can just, you could circle these. You could just circle it and then put PR above it, or you could underline it, or just some way to note it. You could put a box around it if you want. But just put what kind it is above there. All right. But if you are able to annotate it, then go ahead and do that. If you're able to highlight it, go ahead and use the color scheme that I showed you. All right. Are there any questions about this? Does that make sense? Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a few minutes, just starting in verse 2. Go ahead and work your way through it. Identify the prepositions. Let me do this. I'll make these spaces a little smaller here so we can fit more verses. If you want to look at it on your screen. Might be easier if you've got translation handy to do yourself. All right. So I'm planning to do the first 7 verses. Or actually, do I have more? Oh, I've got more verses. We can keep going if we have. But let's do this. Let's just first work our way through verses 2 through 4. All right. 2 through 4. And then we'll see how we do on that, and then we'll keep going. Okay. So 2 through 4, find all the connector words. And as I said, use the notation scheme I show you over here. And then, yeah, if you can remember the most common ones, that'll help you with this assignment. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Why don't you guys work on this, verses 2 to 4, and then we'll come back together, go through it. And then if we finish those, we'll keep going and until our time's up this morning. All right. Okay, good. I'm going to all right, guys, let's work on these verses together, see how it goes. All right. I'm going to start with Brother Alex and just have you, brother, work start on verse 2. Just identify the connector words. Tell us what kind it is you see, okay? You're muted, Alex. You want to get started for us?
Can you show that on screen, Pastor?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
I got lost in
You should be able to see it all.
the signal. Wait. I don't know what's wrong.
Can't see it on your screen?
Ah, okay, okay, okay. I see it now. Sorry. Okay. So verse 2, Pastor?
Yeah, starting with 2 Timothy.
Okay, so connect connect N,
Okay, here, this one.
yeah.
And what kind of connector word is that?
Uh, okay.
You got some, remember you got your hints over here.
uh conjunction,
Yes.
yes.
It's a coordinating conjunction in this case. So for
Coordinate.
conjunctions, I'm going to do it in blue and put over the top of it CO for conjunction. Okay. All right, good. You see any others in verse 2?
Okay, the end that connects the Father and
Yep.
Jesus Christ, our Lord.
Okay. And what kind of connector word is that?
Conjunction also.
Yep. Same thing, coordinating conjunction. So I'm going to put CO there. Very good. Any others in verse 2?
Verse 2. I don't see anything any conjunction.
Okay. Anybody else see any other connector words just in verse 2 here?
To and from.
Yes.
Oh.
2. What is 2?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Preposition.
It's a preposition. Good. All right. And then I heard from this one.
Yes, preposition also.
Very good. Yep. Preposition.
Okay.
And notice both of those
Thank
are
you.
over here. From and to. Maybe I should put more space
Thank you. Thank you.
between them to make it easier to see here. All right. Let's do that. All right, good. Okay. Video. How about you take verse 3 for us here?
Verse 3, sir.
Yes.
First, sir, whom I serve.
Okay, whom? What kind of connector word is that?
Relative pronoun.
Very good. So we're going to color that in gray. And then I'm going to put RP over the top of that for relative pronoun. Good.
Then with a clear conscience, with preposition.
All right, preposition. Yep. Okay,
The
any
other
others?
one, my father, my sir.
Okay, what kind of connector word is that?
I think, sir, possessive pronoun. Not included.
Uh-oh. Did I put the wrong? Oh, I've got the wrong, okay. Actually, my is a pronoun.
Yep.
All right, so it's not a connector word here. My is a
Yes, sir.
pronoun. Yeah. So that's not connecting anything. That's modifying forefathers. Who?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then followed, sir, in my prayer.
Yeah. In. What kind is that?
Preposition, sir.
You are correct. Preposition.
Then and night and day.
Okay. And what kind of connector word is that?
Conjunction, coordinating conjunction.
Very good. All right.
I think, sir, to see you, to see, sir.
Okay, that's verse 4. We're gonna we're gonna let Alan take verse 4. But do you
Oh.
see any more in verse 3? Any others? I see one more connector word.
Longing.
Sorry, just in verse 3.
As.
Yes, as. Very good. What kind of connector word is as?
Conjunction.
Very good. It's a subordinating conjunction, but we're only putting CO for conjunction here, but just, it's subordinating. Okay. Very good. All right.
Thank you.
Kazot, we'll give you verse 4 since you mentioned one of them. I'll let Alan off the hook here. We'll get you on the next one, Alan. Kazot, verse 4. What do you see?
Longing, Pastor Tim.
Yeah, what kind of connector word is that?
Participles.
Yeah, so let's just go through our test here. So it looks like a participle. So we just want to ask the question, all right, is there a verb of being in front of it? It says no, it's followed by day and then a comma. Is there an article in front of it? No. Does it seem to have a subject? Don't see one that's obvious. So it seems to be participle. That makes the most sense. All right, very good. Any others in this verse?
To.
Okay,
Preposition.
now it looks like a preposition, but remember, what did I tell
Sorry,
you?
Pastor Tim. Yes, Pastor Tim. No, it's not Pastor Tim. There's
Yeah, what
a
is it?
verb.
Yeah,
There's
so
a
to
verb,
see
Pastor Tim.
is actually an infinitive. And I'll just put that here.
Infinitive.
Okay, now again, I'm not saying that it's a connector word. Usually they are not. And in this case, it is not. It's longing to see. That's the full expression. But I do want you to note it so that you get used to looking for them so you don't confuse them with a connector word. All right, with the preposition. So just highlight the infinitives in green. Okay. Kazot, any more?
As Pastor Tim, as I recall.
Yes, even as, actually. What kind of connector word is
Even
that?
Conjunction, Pastor Tim.
Yes. Is it coordinating or subordinating, by the way?
Subordinating.
Yes, because it's not one of these 5, right? These 5 are coordinating. All right, excellent. Do you see any more, Kazot?
So that, Pastor Tim.
What is that?
Conjunction.
Yes. What kind? Coordinating or subordinating?
Subordinating, Pastor Tim.
Yeah. All right, so that means what follows it, so that I may be filled, is going to modify something else. This is a dependent clause. It's conjunction, so that is subordinating. It's making the clause go under something. All right. All right. Any more, Kazot? Connector words?
With Pastor Tim. With
Yes.
joy. With
What is it with? What kind?
preposition.
Yes. Preposition.
Preposition, Pastor Tim.
All right. Very good. Okay. Now I noticed I put the wrong translation here. I used the NAS, and in your assignment, you're going to be doing the LSB. It's very close, but what I'm going to need to do here for a moment is to redo this. I want us to work on verses 5 to 8 next, but what I'm going to need to do quickly here is put the right translation here to LSB. So give me one moment to take care of that.
Excuse me, sir. or
Yes.
short interruption. Interruption.
Yes.
We are using LSB, sir, during our assignments.
You will use the LSB for the connector word and diagram assignments. All right.
Read and observe. Can we use NASB? Because I already sent some assignment using NASB.
Well, I mean, if you already did it, that's fine. But notice for the assignment here, I gave you the LSB. Okay. So for the
Thank you, sir.
connector words, you have the LSB. If you already did the whole thing for New American Standard, okay. But for those of you that haven't, just use the translation I gave you here.
Thank you,
All right.
sir. We only
I am,
use.
I am using
Just-
also NASB.
Okay. Well, again, this is the assignment that's on Canvas. So I'd like you to.
You mean, Pastor Tim, is there already?
Yeah. If you go to Canvas here, all right, hit assignments and go to assignment 5.11, which I'm doing. Start assignment, and then, or if you want to download it, sorry. If you download the document, it's going to be this is the LSB version here. All right, so it's already there for you. Then you can just use this document and look for the connector.
So we have
word.
the template.
Yeah, you have the template already. Now, if you've
Thank you,
already
sir.
done it, turned it into me, I mean, and it's in another translation, that's fine. You don't have to redo it.
We never do that, sir. Only the background, sir.
Yeah,
But,
that's fine.
context.
Yeah, I didn't remember seeing any of you turning this in yet. All right. So if you've used the New American Standard for the first assignments, that's okay. But for this assignment, and for the diagram, I would like you to use the New American Standard, or sorry, the Legacy Standard translation. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And so for the diagram, let me see what I've got for you there. This is the diagramming assignment. All right, so I have an example from LSB, and then for the rest of it, you're going to put in, you're just going to diagram, but I'd like you to use the LSB translation, which I guess I can put the text here for you to do, because all you need to do for this assignment, you don't have to do show me all the steps. All you have to show me for the diagram assignment is just the diagram, like I show you here, okay? You don't have to show me all the other steps because you're already doing one of the steps in the other assignment, 5.11. You're doing the connector words. So this assignment, I just want to see your final diagram. Okay. So maybe what I'll do for you guys here is I'll put the text of the LSB here so you have it on the document. All right. Okay, does that make sense, guys? So you're going to do assignment 5.11 and 5.12 using the Legacy Standard Bible translation. Okay. Now for all your other work, if you want to use the New American Standard or the ESV, that's okay. But for these two assignments, I want you to do the LSB. That way we're all doing the same assignment. Okay. Same translation. Any questions on that? Does that make sense? Okay. So, I need to put the correct, so I didn't put the correct translation in your notes, so I'm going to need to do that here. So give me a moment to do that. On your translation here. Okay. All right. Okay. So here we've got verses 5 to 8. All right. So go ahead and take a couple minutes and start working through those using, again, the same approach that we did before. All right. And then we'll come back together in a moment, in a couple minutes. Okay. So start working on this one. Verses 5 to 8, 2 Timothy 1. All right. Let's do this. Okay. Noor, I'm going to pick on you first for verse 5. All right. We'll help you out if you get stuck at all, but see if you can identify the connector words there. What connector words do you see?
Verse 5 of
Okay, of.
is pronoun. No. Preposition.
Preposition, yeah.
Preposition also.
Okay, what's also a preposition?
And which there is which.
All right, hold on a second. I've got an issue with my. What's going on here? Let's try this again. No.
Within you.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Okay. Okay, sorry. Within, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. That's also a preposition?
Preposition.
Okay, good. Yep.
And conjunction.
Okay, and
First dwell in you. within
All
you.
right. And within you, sorry. And is that what you said? This one?
There is and there is in. Dwelt in.
Oh, in. Okay. And what is that?
Is also proposition.
Yep. Preposition. Good. Okay.
The and
All right. Good.
by conjunction.
Yeah. And do you remember what kind of conjunction is this?
Coordinating.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's coordinating. I don't know. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, coordinating. That's right. All
And
right,
there is
great.
another.
Okay. What's the next one? Another and? Is that what you said?
Yes, another and.
All
The
right.
same.
Same.
Coordinate.
Yep.
Yes.
Good. All right.
I am convinced that
Okay. I'm convinced that what is that one?
that the relative pronoun. No. Yeah, relative pronoun.
Okay. Now remember, we want to do a test. So it looks like it could be a relative pronoun, but remember that word that is a tricky. So to test if it's a relative pronoun, what do? We replace it with the word which, right? And see if it makes sense. I am convinced which it is in you as well. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. So I don't think it's functioning like a relative pronoun here, unfortunately. This is one of those uses of, remember when we talk about the word that, I mentioned to you that this is one of those challenging words in English where it can mean it can function in several different ways. So we could have that can be a relative pronoun. It can function like a relative pronoun, as you had mentioned, but it can also act like a relative pronoun, and that's where you would replace it with which and see if it makes sense. Or it can act like a conjunction, like so that. Or it can act like a pronoun. He's or are you is that you? Okay, here it's acting like a certain kind of pronoun. Or it can act like a direct object marker. It can introduce a direct object. So or it can act like an adjective. Are you that preacher? Okay, where it's a pronoun modifying creature. So the word that is a troublesome word in English. Its most common uses are as relative pronoun or conjunction, but here I'm sure, or what is it? Oh, what happened to that? Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Where are we? I'm convinced that. It doesn't really fit any of these. This is one of those times where it's not gonna.
It is like
Go ahead,
direct
Arn.
object.
Yeah, I think so. All right, so in this case, it doesn't fit the relative pronoun or subordinating conjunction, unfortunately. Are there any other possible connector words, Nor, that you see in verse 5?
Now,
There is, sir.
What's that?
Which first dwell?
Yeah, which up here. Now, what is that?
Relative pronoun.
Yeah, notice over
Oh,
here
yeah.
under relative pronouns, we have who, which, and then the word that is there. But like I said, that doesn't always act like a relative pronoun. So, okay, we have a relative pronoun here. Any others?
In you as well.
Yes, in you. What is that? What is the word in?
Preposition, sir.
Position.
Yes, preposition. Good. All right. Any others in verse 5? We have right at the beginning, there's a participle,
I being.
being reminded.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, in you as well, really, as well as one of those expressions that in English can mean as well as the same thing as saying also, or two. So all he's saying is, I am convinced it is in you also.
Also.
All right.
Yeah.
So yes, sometimes as is a connector word. Sometimes it's a conjunction. But notice what follows it is not a clause. All right. So this is one of those English expressions that actually just means also. Okay. So if you think it's a conjunction, remember, look for a conjunction. Look for a clause after it. All right. Now, that's if it's a subordinating conjunction. Remember, coordinating is and, nor, all right, but, or, and yet. Now, notice none of these words are as, right? None of them are as. So if you see as, it would only be a subordinating conjunction. But to be that, it needs to be followed by a dependent clause. So something like this: I'm convinced it is in you as I have seen, as I have seen. Notice I, subject, have, verb, have seen as a verb. So in this case, as would be a conjunction because it's followed by this dependent clause. So it's acting like a conjunction. It's telling us how I'm convinced. But in this case, we don't have that. It's only followed by the word well, which just is, again, in English, that's just an expression meaning also. So maybe an easier way to have said that is, I am convinced it is in you also. All right, that's all it's saying. Does that make sense? All right. So again, the challenge here with English is there's always these exceptions or these certain words which can have different meanings, and as well is one of those situations. Okay, I think you guys have identified all of the connector words in verse 5. Alan, I'm going to ask you to do verse 6.
Okay, verse 6. 4.
Okay.
Please.
4. Okay. Now, what does that look like to you?
Is that preposition?
Okay, normally 4 is, yeah, acts like is a preposition. Now, in this case, for this reason is actually
A conjunction.
yeah, it's one of those, it's like therefore. All right, except it's 3 words in this case, for this reason. So it's for this reason is the connector phrase as a whole. You're just going to have to remember that. Okay. All right. Any other connector words?
2.
Okay, 2. Now look what follows it though. To kindle. Is that a verb or a noun? Is kindle a verb or a noun?
It's a verb.
It's a verb actually. To stir up is what it means. To start. So if it's 2 plus a verb, what is that again?
Infinitive.
It's an infinitive. Yeah. So this is not a connector word, it's an infinitive, but we're going to highlight it in green just to note that. Maybe I'll put it up top. That'd be easier. All right.
Of.
Yes. Of. What is that? What kind of connector word? Preposition. Okay, good.
In a which.
Yes, which. What kind of connector word is that?
Relative.
Relative pronoun. All right, so we're going to put it in gray. Any others?
In.
Yep. In. Yep. What is that?
Preposition.
Preposition.
Through.
Yes, good. What kind of connector word is that?
Preposition. Is that
Yeah.
preposition?
And let's say you couldn't remember, you're not sure. You know it's something. What you do is just look at what follows. And if a clause follows it, then it's a conjunction. But in this case, it's not a clause. It's the laying on of my hands. Okay, which is not a clause. There's not a subject and verb. So what, any other connector words here?
On. No, I think the laying on they go together.
Okay.
Laying on.
Yes,
laying on.
They do. And but what is that? Is this a connector word or what is it?
Participle.
It's a is it a gerund participle?
Yeah, notice, yes, at first you might say, oh, it's a participle because it's a verb plus ing, but notice with a word in front of it.
The article.
Yeah, do you see the article there? So that's telling us that it cannot be a it can't be a participle because it's got an article in front of it. That tells us actually that this is a gerund. It's a noun. It looks like a participle, but it's not. All right, so we won't want to note that. So laying on actually is a gerund. The laying on. It's a gerund. And then I heard somebody say of here. Yeah, of is a preposition. So we will note that here. Okay, does anybody see any other? Any other in verse 7? Any other, or 6, I'm sorry, any other connector words in verse 6? Okay, I don't see any either, so you
I think
got them all. Sorry, somebody see one?
That's all, Pastor Tim.
Yep, that's it. All right, very good. Okay, James, verse 7.
4.
4, yes. And what is that?
Conjunction.
Yes, you're right. It is not a preposition in this case. It is a conjunction. How do we know it's a conjunction and not a preposition? Do you remember? Yeah, it's describing a purpose here. Yeah, God has not given us. That's a clause, isn't it?
Yeah.
Subject God has not given is the verb, and the object is us. So if it's followed by a clause, it cannot be a preposition. Remember, prepositions are only followed by nouns. Okay, so preposition followed by a noun. But a conjunction, a subordinating conjunction, is followed by a clause. Technically, you could say a preposition is followed by a phrase, which is usually just a noun. But in this case, notice it is not just a noun. It is God has given us. A spirit actually is the whole clause. Okay, so James is exactly right. This is a conjunction, subordinating conjunction. All right, James, do you see any other?
Of immediately.
Yes.
The word of
What kind of connector word is that?
preposition.
Very good. Preposition. So I'll do it in yellow. All right. And any other in verse 7?
But.
Here. Okay, but what is that? What kind of connector word?
Conjunction.
Okay. Now, is this conjunction coordinating or subordinating?
Coordinating.
Yes, it's part of amboy. Those are the coordinating ones. Okay, good. Now, any other connector words?
And.
Yes. What kind is it?
And
Power and
conjunction.
It's a conjunction, right? Also coordinating.
Yes.
Okay, good. Any others?
Another and.
Yes, another and. All right, same thing. Very good. Any others?
Of, sir. Of.
Yeah, another of. God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but of power. So it's another preposition, isn't it? Great. Okay. Anyone, James or anyone else, do you see any others in verse 7?
No more. No more.
I think you got them all. Good job.
Yeah.
Okay. Pastor Arn, I'm giving you verse 8. What do you see in verse 8?
Verse 8, therefore do not be ashamed of either the witness about our Lord or me, his prisoner, but join with me in suffering for the gospel according to the power of God. Therefore, pastor, is that conjunction,
Very good. What kind of conjunction is it?
I believe, subordinating.
Yes, because notice you can just check. Is it one of these 5? And, nor, but, or, and yet, and is not?
Wow.
So we know it's, we'll just put conjunction here, but it's subordinating.
And then of
Do not be ashamed of, what is that?
is preposition. And then is that either conjunction, Pastor?
Yeah, now here's one. We did not cover this together. Yes, either is a conjunction, but it's called, it's a special kind. We
Preposition.
didn't cover these in class. They're what's called correlatives. And all that means is the two words that go together. So either or. Oops.
Oh, either or.
Or but, and, or but, also, or neither, nor, meaning that these are like couplets, pairs. So notice we see either the witness
Either or.
about me or his prisoner. See that?
Conjunction. Yes,
So
Pastor.
it's
Either or.
it's these two go together. It's a special, yeah, either or. So they go together. They're called a correlative. They act like a conjunction, but they are they're coupled together. Even though they're separated, they go together as a conjunction. And then again, here's some examples here.
Thank you, Pastor.
All right. So good observation that you caught that.
Then the word about. Witness about our Lord is that preposition, Pastor?
Yes. About. Yeah.
Our Lord.
About. What is that? What kind of a?
Is that preposition?
Yes, it is a preposition. Very good. All right, let's note that. Preposition.
And then but join.
Okay, what is but?
Conjunction.
Yeah. What kind of conjunction, by the way?
Coordinating.
Yes. But. Okay.
With me, with.
Okay, and what kind is that? Kind of connector word?
Preposition, Pastor?
Yeah. All right, good. Any others?
In.
In. And what kind is that?
Preposition.
Yep.
And then suffering.
Suffering.
Okay, what does suffering look like?
It is that but join me in suffering for the gospel. Is that participle?
Okay, it looks like it, right? Because it's suffer, and then you've got the ing ending. Then we have to ask ourselves, is it participle? We don't see an article, but what else do we not see? Do we see we don't see a subject. We don't see a verb of being.
Yes.
But remember,
It's a
what
noun.
follows a preposition? Normally, a noun does. So this is a sneaky one. Remember, I told you participles are very naughty. They're very bad because they trick us. All right. And
Thank you, Pastor.
This one looks like a participle, but it is not. It's actually a gerund. It's functioning like a noun here. And the only way that you could know that is by realizing it's following a preposition.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, that one's very tricky, hard to see. But
Next is 4.
4, yes, very good.
Conjunction. A
Okay.
preposition.
4 is a preposition. You're exactly right in this case. Now, how do we know it's not
Preposition
a...
because follows the noun.
Yes, you got it. Notice what follows. A noun. There's no verb.
Yeah.
Now, remember, according is not a participle. Remember, according to is what?
Preposition.
Yes, preposition. All right, it's that. All right, good. According to, and then are there any more in verse 8?
Of.
Yes,
Oh.
of. What is that?
Preposition.
Preposition. Okay. All right, good. That verse was a little harder.
Thank you, Pastor.
Okay, great job. Guys, very good job overall. There are a few tricks in here, and normally you may not catch all of these, you know, like these gerunds, by the way, that we saw a couple of them here. But just do your best. You're going to get most of them. All right. To me, if you can get 90% of them, you're doing very well. All right. There may be a few that you won't see or won't understand, but the more we practice, then the more you're going to pick up on things, especially things like the infinitives, like, oh, that's a verb. So this can't be a preposition. This must be an infinitive. Or like somebody noticed, there's an article in front of laying. So this laying cannot be a participle. It's got to be a noun because it's got an article in front of it. All right. So we keep practicing these things, and I think you'll catch them more. What I think we'll do is maybe next week we'll go through a few more verses together. Okay. I'm going to do one more with you. Just we'll do it together. Let's do verse 9, and then we'll end with that. Okay. I'll do verse 9 with you. Here, and then maybe next week we'll pick it up at verse 10. Okay. So I'm in verse 9. All right. Does anybody, I'll just open this to anybody. I'll read it, and then if anyone can see a connector word, let me know. Who has saved us and called us with the holy calling, not according to our works, but according to his own purpose and grace, which was given to us in Christ Jesus from all eternity. All right. Anybody see any connector words?
And.
According
Okay.
to, sir.
We'll do and first. And is a conjunction, coordinating conjunction. All right. Who? Yes. The first word of verse 9. What is who?
Relative.
Relative pronoun. All right. Notice it's over here under relative pronouns. Okay.
When.
Okay. He has called us with a holy calling. And what is with?
When.
Preposition.
Preposition. All right. So we'll note that in yellow. Preposition. Okay. Any others?
Calling. Gerund.
Yeah, now calling here is not a participle. It might look like one, but notice, how do we know that this is a gerund?
There is an article.
Yes, with a calling. Now, holy just modifies calling. What kind of calling? With a holy calling.
Calling. Adjective.
And remember what I just told you as well. So we see the article there. But to, there's a preposition. So what follows a preposition will be a noun unless it's an infinitive. But with is not ever be an infinitive, and it's followed by a noun. So it's a preposition. With is a preposition. It will be followed by a noun. Well, calling then must be a noun. Okay. So good catch there. That is a gerund. Okay. What about, do we see any other?
So,
According to.
According to.
According to, yes.
About calling.
What is according to? What kind of a connector word? Preposition. Yeah, remember I told you as well, according to, even though it's not as common as these 9, according to is probably, I don't know for sure, but it may be the next most common after these 9, because I do see it a lot in the Bible, the English translation. Very good. Any other? But
How about
what kind is that?
calling?
Coordinating conjunction.
Calling gerund.
So we're going to put CO for conjunction. All right. Any other? And, which is also coordinating conjunction.
which?
Yes. Which? What is which?
Relative pronoun.
Relative pronoun. Excellent. Okay. So RP. And notice, by the way, which was given to us, given as a verb, which is the noun. So this is, again, these relative pronouns introduce a dependent clause. Okay, in this case, which was given modifies grace. Grace, which was given. Okay, any other connector words in verse 9?
From.
From, what is that? What kind?
Preposition.
Yep, preposition. It's one of the 9 common ones over here. So it's preposition. Very good. Any others?
In Christ Jesus.
In Christ.
Yes, in is also preposition, isn't it? Good. Any others? I see one more.
Oh,
2. Yep, there it is. Now, again, we want to say, okay, I want to make sure this is not an infinitive. How do I know if it's an infinitive? What do I look for?
followed by a
A
noun.
verb.
Yes. Look at what follows it. And in this case, us is a pronoun. It's a noun,
Pronoun.
not a verb. So this is a preposition. Okay, so again, that reminds us, normally for a preposition, preposition is followed by a noun. If it's an infinitive, the preposition to, so an infinitive is a preposition, and in this case, it's almost always to, followed by a verb. Okay? Now, in this case, to us is a noun. Therefore, to must be a preposition. Now, when we looked earlier, to kindle is a verb. So this case, to is not a preposition. This is an infinitive. And again, as I said with participles, in Greek, you don't have to go through this exercise to look at what follows it. In Greek, infinitives are constructed in a certain way that you just know it's an infinitive. But in English, an infinitive is often represented by to plus a verb. Okay. Now, I did put in your notes in Module 5 a section on infinitives if you want to go back and review that for some more details. Okay. But remember, infinitives sometimes can function like a connector word, but not usually. All right. But we just want to make sure we notice them so we don't get confused with a preposition. All right. Okay. Hey, you guys did great. Very well. Very good. All right. So what I think I'd like to do is next week, let's practice this a little more. I think the more we practice together, the better you guys will do. We'll do one more session on this. I know it's not the most exciting thing you've ever done in your life, but it is helpful and important in our Bible study to work at and better understand how these connector words are, because then those will tell us the phrases and clauses. And then once we know those phrases and clauses, then we figure out what they modify. But the best way to find these phrases and clauses is to see these connector words. So I think this is an important exercise, and it's why I want you to do the whole book of 2 Timothy, because I think it'll help you a lot. If you go through the whole book, and you're going to really get much better at identifying connector words more quickly. I can already tell you guys did a good job this morning for that. So let's commit next week to do the connector words again for a few more verses from 2 Timothy. And then now you'll have this video. You can go back and use it, to work on you've already got then part of your assignment, done here. And then next week, we'll see how many verses we can get through. Maybe we can get through chapter 1. So then that's be about, 1/4 of your assignment will be done. Okay. And then after that, we'll move towards the diagramming and spend a little time practicing on 2 Timothy doing the diagrams. Okay. All right. Any questions about what we talked about this morning, or just anything in general comes to your mind?
Pastor Tim, is it okay if we still continue to go through with this NASB?
But not for this assignment. I want you to do LSB. All right.
LSB.
So if you started with NASB, that's okay. How far along are you? Or have you finished it, or?
No, not Pastor Tim. Still in chapter 1.
Okay. Yeah, please do this in the LSB. Just this assignment and the diagram. All right. You can use the the NASB or the ESV for all the other assignments if you want. You can preach out of one of those as well. I just want you to use LSB for this assignment. Okay. Thank you for the question. Any others? Okay. Well, again, I know this was grammar heavy today, but I know that the more we work on this, the more you're going to get familiar with it and do better at it. Was there somebody had a question or comment? Okay. All right. Thank you. Noor, I'm going to ask if you could close our time in prayer.